Hey there, RosterWatch Nation. It's your friendly neighborhood Trashman, and this is the Garbage Grab. Today I'm going to be talking about players who are trending down in fantasy. And unsurprisingly, all the guys I'm going to be talking about today are running backs. Just with the combination of injuries that happen at the position and short shelf life of the players, it's just a pretty volatile situation most of the time for running backs, and I don't envy them at least some of the time. I do envy some of it. I envy Christian McCaffrey and his $16 million contract. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. First off, I have Sony Michel of the Patriots. Michel is currently recovering from foot surgery, which is largely considered to be a maintenance move on his part, but that just lessens the amount of time he has to work in training camp, and he actually could potentially miss the start of the season. To his credit, Michel has only missed 3 games in his entire career due to knee injuries. Although from a fantasy perspective, it seems like he's missed a lot more than that. In any case, this just opens the door even wider for Damien Harris in his second year to take over the first 2 down role in the Patriots backfield this season. So I don't love Michel in fantasy right now. I think there are too many cogs in that Patriots backfield, and I think Damien Harris at this point in both of their careers might be the better first 2 down option. Speaking of better options, the 2020 RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet is available now at RosterWatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed fantasy football forever is back, only at RosterWatch.com. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet, all you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. That's it, 3 rules. It couldn't be easier. I guess it could be a little easier. I guess 1 rule would be easier, technically. Anyways, an expert quality fantasy football draft is guaranteed. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet only at RosterWatch.com. After Sony Michel, a player who I have trending downwards in fantasy is Dalvin Cook of the Vikings. Cook and the Vikings are reportedly about $3 million apart in how much they think Cook should get paid as their starting running back. Cook initially wanted Christian McCaffrey money, which he's not going to get. Running backs don't get $16 million contracts generally. And right now he's actually asking, he said he'd be happy with 13, but the Vikings are at 10. So it seems that we have reached an impasse. And the thing is, the more important thing, in my opinion, is that the Vikings have a really solid backup in Alexander Mattison, who could be a starter on really any team. He's that good. So the Vikings probably feel like they are in the driver's seat in this one, and I wouldn't bet against that. Cook can survive missing the first quarter of the season. He's only 24 years old. He might actually miss the entire season. He could sit out the entire season. And that's not the kind of chance I want to take on a running back who, would normally be taken in the first 7-8 picks. So Cook is not somebody who I'm relying upon in drafts at this point. There are a lot of other guys who you can get later. Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, who I think have Cook's upside, but don't have all of the question marks. Someone else who's got some question marks, Justin Jackson of the Chargers. Jackson had a really remarkable 6.9 yard per carry average in the 7 games he played in 2019 as the Chargers third back behind Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. But injuries kept him from playing a full season. In fact, he's missed more than a third of the games that the Chargers have played since he entered the league. If you go back to his rookie year, his yard per carry average actually drops considerably to 4.1 over the 13 games he played in. So that kind of brings him down to earth. Also, the Chargers have added rookie Joshua Kelly in the draft, who at 212 pounds makes a better 1-2 combo with Austin Ekeler, in my opinion. Justin Jackson is actually listed as a pound lighter than Austin Ekeler, which I didn't realize. So if you have a guy who is lighter in the pants than Austin Ekeler competing against a rookie who's a stud and is arguably at least 10 pounds heavier, 10 pounds more muscle than you, I don't love Justin Jackson's chances of thriving in this Chargers offense at this point. Someone else whose chances I don't like at this point, Darryl Henderson of the Rams. Henderson injured his ankle 6 months ago, and he's still rehabbing it. That's a bit disconcerting, in my opinion. Even more concerning is the fact that the Rams drafted Cam Akers in the second round. Akers is a 3-down back for all intents and purposes. He's a capable pass catcher in addition to being a really solid in-between-the-tackles runner. He's basically a combination of Malcolm Brown and Darryl Henderson. He can do what they both can do, except it's in one person. And you can't forget about Malcolm Brown in this offense if we're talking about Darryl Henderson. He actually played more snaps than Henderson in 2019, whether Todd Gurley was in the game or not. And Henderson has his issues. He hasn't really shown that he can pass protect. And he's going to need to be able to do that to stay in the game. All these issues, in my opinion, add up to Henderson being a major question mark in fantasy in 2020. The last guy I'm going to talk about today is an old faithful, Adrian Peterson of the Redskins. Peterson has been productive in what is arguably the twilight of his career. He turned 35 in March. Actually, he's had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard plus all-purpose yard seasons, averaging 6 touchdowns in his time with the Redskins. He has benefited from being really the only healthy back on the Redskins for the entirety of that time, which is ironic considering his age. Offensive coordinator Scott Turner recently said that Peterson has a role in the offense and alluded to checkdowns and play action situations, which if you know Adrian Peterson, you know that's not his strong suit. Peterson's highest reception total in a season came over 10 years ago, and that was 43 receptions. And he's only had 17 and 20 receptions in the past 2 seasons. And that's with Chris Thompson missing at least a quarter of the games over that time. So you have to add in the fact that the Redskins brought in rookie Antonio Gibson, who is a much more explosive pass-catching option at this point in their careers. And so is Darius Geis, for that matter. And you have to remember, too, they also added Peyton Barber to the backfield, who is a decent pass catcher, and J.D. McKissick, and that's his strong suit. Oh, and Bryce Love is still there, too. I mean, I'm not sure they keep all of those backs going into the season, but if we're talking about Peterson being of use in the passing game, and we have all these other running backs who are probably of better use in the passing game, and we have Darius Geis, who is probably a better between the tackles runner at this point in his career. All that adds up to Adrian Peterson not getting the 200 plus touches we're used to seeing for him as a Redskin. His advancing age and the burgeoning talent at the position are both conspiring to diminish his touches. Anyways, those are my running backs who I believe are trending downward in fantasy at this point in the year. This has been the Garbage Trap. On behalf of RosterWatch.com, I'm the Trashman. Until next time, be ready.